So welcome back, everybody. Today we are joined by Alex Savage, who's the co-founder of FlowGuard. So welcome, Alex. Maybe you can just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and FlowGuard and who you kind of serve, I guess.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, about myself. So I was a software engineer for a decade and then got into product because I didn't really like writing code. And I found that data was the best way to inform the direction of a product. And that got me into data. And through a leadership position, got into marketing and advertising and a bunch of different things. And then out came AI. And suddenly I didn't mind coding so much anymore. So then I started a startup with my co-founder, Mick, called FlowGuard, where I handle all the technology part and the building of the product. And he's does all the paperwork and stuff that I don't want to do.
All right.
That's right. And so FlowGuard, we're actually thinking for a while what to create as a startup, what product. And so he's got a B2B SaaS background from Neuralink.
Nice.
And a typical engineer started building various things and realized that I needed some type of framework to build stuff off, a platform, things to manage all the prompts and to organize and administrate the API keys and test out the LLM responses and create a feedback loop, that sort of thing. And so the first product is FlowGuard, which is an amalgamation of various open source with some IP infrastructure that lets companies actually go and build and deliver AI solutions.
Okay, nice. And in the AI space, everything moves so very, very quickly. Like, what are some of the biggest trends that you feel like you're seeing with AI, and are you guys trying to capitalize on any of those trends with FlowGuard?
Yeah. Well, the trends so far is for businesses are very slow to adopt AI. And so that's on the business side. And our approach is to build something that the business needs. And on the AI side, which is moving very fast, the models are just getting better and smarter and faster and cheaper. So that means it can be used in a lot more areas efficiently due to the cost and the quality of the output. It's honestly hard to stay on top of all the changes. I spent a big part of my time researching and trying out different things. Agentic approaches are probably the buzzword of 2025, which is to create these AI agents that go and can perform actions as the expert in a certain domain and often called upon by other agents to do their bidding.
Right. And is this a little bit of what I see on your LinkedIn? I was sort of fascinated just before we got on the call here with this digital twin simulator. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the digital twin simulator is a pivot from FlowGuard, because FlowGuard, it helps other teams start using AI and putting guardrails and that sort of thing. And I'm using FlowGuard for this as well. But that's on the the cost and risk reduction side of the equation for a business. And we want to get closer to the profit side. And so the purpose of the digital twin simulator is for the initial use cases for salespeople to practice, to do some role playing, because it's hard to get time from their managers and do role playing before a call, and the ramp up can be slow. There could be new technical things that they need to learn about the product that they're selling, sales methodology, that sort of thing. And so to help them, to augment them with AI, created this digital twin simulator. It creates a digital twin persona of anyone based on a LinkedIn profile and a company website and a message history. And you can have a conversation with them using your voice, which is the role play, so you can try and sell to them.
I thought that was really fascinating that you just need to provide a very small amount of input, and then it creates this digital twin avatar, I guess. How early is this product, and is it still in testing? Is it beta? Like, what was the plan for this particular solution?
Yeah, it is interesting. You can create a persona based on a small amount of information. There's been a study recently, which is you can create a digital twin based on a questions and answers, or like a conversation history, which is one of the inputs here. and they respond like that digital twin. The AI will then respond with 85% accuracy, the way that the real person would
Wow.
to a given question. And so it can be quite lifelike. The accent that gets added in is just a nice a nice touch. Not up to the
Hmm.
voice cloning stage yet,
Yeah.
but maybe someday. Yeah, it's more or less a prototype at the moment, staying flexible as to how to deploy this. Because one mistake that I made with FlowGuard was it is, while it's flexible, it can be deployed to the cloud or on premise. It's just this big thing that can be used, or multiple components can be used, and often there's something already in house that they want to integrate with, or a tiny piece of it that they'd be wanting to use within their ops. And so, as a prototype, it can be inserted into an existing platform as a feature, or
Hmm.
it could be a standalone product, or a SaaS offering.
Hmm.
I don't want to tie it down to anything until I've found that whatever the right fit is.
Hmm.
So there's this product market fit concept. Um, I prefer to find the market and then fit the product into it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. As opposed to saying this is what we have and try and cram it down people's throats and be like, this is how you use it, which I've seen a lot of founders do, and it sort of fails miserably, no matter how much VC funding you have.
Yeah, that's right. And the trap there is, if you've got funding, it's very tempting to buy ad spend to pay for acquisition. And there's a business model that's not always feasible long term. It might feel good for a bit
Hmm.
because you're getting customers, but if the ROI on that spend isn't there, then it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And if you turn the ad spend off and customers completely dry up, then you'll forever be beholden to the AI or the tech overlords of Google and Facebook. And I've seen it so many times where a business is 95% of their revenue is coming from paid acquisition, and something gets shut down in their ad channels and revenue goes to near zero. And it's a very scary place to be. So you're 100%
Yeah,
right.
well, if the revenue is dropping, that means there's a retention problem as well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So coming back to FlowGuard, Alex, building FlowGuard, like what have been the biggest challenges over the last year or so?
The biggest challenges, I think, it's finding the customer,
Hmm.
finding the person that is wanting to pay for the product. I'm not stuck, or Mick and I aren't stuck or married to any idea specifically. We're trying different things and seeing what works and seeing if there's a niche that we can tackle. And that's kind of the direction we're going in at the moment, really
Hmm.
finding a domain that's not necessarily tech. So FlowGuard as a platform, as a framework, it's selling into tech teams that are building with AI, and it's saturated. There's
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
going on at the moment. So many people trying to sell into that area. It's extremely challenging to compete. So we've got our product or suite of tools, and there's also open source, which can be used, or in-house, or consultancies, or other SaaS that might have a big name. So why would they choose us?
What do you say to that question when they ask you?
Why should we choose you?
Yeah.
Because we can execute and deliver faster than any of the consultancies that they're going for.
And who do you typically serve? Or if you're still sort of serving multiple niches and figuring that out, like who would you prefer to serve and who do you feel like you get the best results for?
Prefer to serve the business owner. And that's
Okay.
why transitioning away from the infrastructure as a product to something that's more niche and directly adds business value,
Hmm.
um, as a multiplier of a revenue engine, it makes a lot more sense at
Yeah.
the moment. Selling to a CTO or CIO is pretty challenging. They've got a lot of other things on their mind, very busy, often fighting fires if it's enterprise, fighting
Yeah.
fires all the time. And the last thing on their mind is something that can kind of broadly help them deliver on some of the things that they need to deliver on.
Hmm.
They just want a win. And a lot of the time, they don't care about cost reduction either.
Yeah.
It's just not a priority.
Well, they say health, wealth, and relationships are the niches where there'll always be a massive demand, and overwhelmingly, wealth creation is the number one. I've seen it many times where companies have pivoted to just focus on revenue creation, and all of a sudden people start picking up their phone calls and start returning the calls. And so I think it's a very good insight, and it's a good pivot. So is that the main priority then for the rest of 2025, is to find that product market fit with that and creating solutions around that focus?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I think having that a domain that is not necessarily tech,
Mm-hmm.
that can embed an AI solution into to generate additional revenue for that business. That's kind of the key that we're looking for at the moment. And the digital twin simulator, I think, is a
Mm-hmm.
good starting point. That could be used by a B2B SaaS company, but it could also be used by a non-technical company.
Mm-hmm.
And, Mick's got a sales background, and that's why we're looking at sales to start with. But I think that the digital twin simulation is quite powerful. It could be applied in other areas as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I saw it, I thought it was really cool. I was looking forward to speaking to you about it. So I look forward to seeing like where that goes. If okay, so then if you could wave a magic wand over one big problem, what do you think that big problem would be, and solve it, obviously?
Wave a magic wand over one big problem.
So it's a broad enough question that it's interesting to see how you interpret it. And
Yeah, you've given me no no guardrails around this question.
yeah,
So
somebody gave me a political answer the other day. I thought that was interesting.
yeah, I think so. AI can help level the playing field for knowledge for everyone, right, and
Mm-hmm.
for learning, for education, and I think that's fantastic. But does everyone have access to it? Does everyone have the ability to use it, or the training needed to be able to use it? So I think that if the biggest problem is access to information and to knowledge and to applicate to being able to apply that, if that was solved globally, then that would raise the sea level for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If all of humanity could get smarter because they have got access to knowledge, to being able to be tutored personally by an AI on any topic, and even suggested topics based on their situation,
Mm-hmm.
and the motivation to do that as well, I guess, is the one of the components of the problem. So it's motivation, freedom to access that type of service, and then being able to apply that as well. Yeah, I think that as a problem to solve is also somewhat broad,
Mm-hmm.
but that would just boost everything.
Yeah. Well, that's not something I've heard before, but I happen to completely agree. Do you feel like we will 10, 20 years from now, we'll be in a world where access to that kind of knowledge and resources will be available to most people?
I believe so. I think that it is available now to the. I don't know what the statistics are, but I think
Mm-hmm.
the ownership of mobile phones. If you've got a mobile phone, then you can access some form of this at the moment. Just
Yeah.
might not be as palatable as it needs to be for the general population.
And I think AI is still in its infancy, and everyone's still using it for buzzwords in their corporate meetings and things like this. And I spoke to a guy the other day who said that AI is like a magical flying car, and it sounds really good, but then when you approach people and ask them to put their children inside the flying car, they say, oh, no, they don't trust it. So we still, I'm reminded of my parents when I needed to buy something online. They wouldn't give me a credit card to put it into the internet because they didn't trust the internet. And now everybody, it's like second nature. You just tap two buttons and you pay for whatever online. So I think eventually we will get there where everybody has access to it, and they are not afraid to take action and use it. Maybe.
Well, currently most people are using it and they just don't know it.
Mm,
Yeah, because if you're thinking about the chatbot interface where it's clearly an AI, sure, yeah, there's some hesitance around that sort of thing. But any service that you're using, any integration into apps on your phone or your bank or whatever,
mm.
it's all got AI. in it somewhere doing stuff, and you're using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah, I do
interface
think
has been adapted to users.
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Okay, so Alex, finally, I guess if you could go back to the beginning of your journey with FlowGuard, what's one big thing that you might change with the gift of hindsight?
The gift of hindsight. Going after enterprise is a real chore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that small and medium businesses are a lot more open to change, to kind of rapid change. Whereas, I have worked for enterprises in the past, and I should know this, but there's a lot of red tape and they're very slow moving. And so introducing something new like this, it's really trying to cram it in, right? It's trying to push that in there, and there's so many factors and forces working against you, and so I think changing the target customer, which would in turn change the entire approach, because that's kind of the starting point for the way that we've been working. That's the hindsight. Yeah, the other one is people within businesses don't care about saving costs. They don't care about saving costs, and they don't care about measuring the outcome either, which is what FlowGuard is supposed to do. That's my personal ideal. I love measuring the outcome, but those responsible for delivering an outcome are not incentivized to measure it.
Right. So this comes back to the insight that we talked about earlier, which was that if you could go back, you would create something that would help with ROI and revenue generation, as opposed to cutting costs or tracking data. That would be the main pivot.
Yeah, well, cutting costs, tracking data, analysis and refinement, they lead to revenue generation, but they're a couple of steps removed, and there's human action required in between to interpret and make a decision and prioritize the action of that decision, and then execute on that. And then that's only there is where the gains are. And that's too many steps in between.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Cool. Well, look, Alex, I really appreciate the time and the insights today. I think you gave me some answers I've not heard before, so it's always refreshing to hear different takes on things, and everything makes a lot of sense. I think what you guys are doing at FlowGuard is really interesting. I really love the newest stuff that you've posted with the clone. I'm really excited to see what happens with that, so I'll be following along closely. If people want to connect with you, or they want to check out FlowGuard or any of the things that you guys are doing, like, where can they go and how can they connect?
Just reach out on LinkedIn, probably the best place.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure to leave links and stuff like that in the description. But again, thank you very much, Alex. And thank you guys very much for watching. I'll make sure, like I say, to leave links. So go and check out FlowGuard, go and check out Alex, connect with what he's doing, and follow him on LinkedIn. But we will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, Jordan.